you go to a function, somebody's getting married, and you will see all the aunties, uncles asking, how did your child do in the exam? So why are you bothered about that grade? You want to judge the child by the grade? Then let me be very frank and very clear with you. Children are getting grades based on their memory power. Most of the times, nothing to do with what they understood in whatever they are learning inside the classroom.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another fantastic episode of the Lalith Dhanush show. Today I have a very special guest with me. This gentleman is one of the biggest reasons as to why I am here today. He's the first teacher that I ever looked up to and said, wow, I want to be like this man. I want to, take the stage by power just like this man. Anybody who's been in my circle, my inner circle, knows about him because I've always gone gaga. His name is Pavan RC. He runs the school, Achieve School of Education, where he believes in building a better education system and a better society tomorrow. In this podcast, you will see what it truly takes for an individual to be successful from the nascent childhood days to becoming a successful human being later on in his life. We discuss about the education system. We discuss about how to combat with failure. We discuss about social media and much more. Watch this entire episode and I'm sure you'll have a lot of takeaways. Do share it with your friends and family who can resonate with this episode. Hello Pavan, welcome to the Lalith Dhanush show. First of all, to everybody who's watching, I must say it's one of the most proudest moments of my podcasting journey because I get to sit with that one person who's inspired me to be a teacher, to be an amazing human being, and who better than you to be on my show. Thank you so much for accepting and being on my show, Pavan.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's my privilege to be here, and every time I get onto shows like this, the best out of me comes out, and I'm very glad that this gets documented for the rest of the world to really visit this.
Yeah, thank you, Pavan. And I'm sure that this episode going forward will have so many takeaways, so many realizations and understandings from various aspects. And I must say, Pavan, I want to ask this one question before we get going to the main part of it. You've been a teacher. You started your own school.
Okay.
Where did this all start? Where did it begin?
Okay. Pain has been a very big motivator for me, though I say this with a smile.
Okay.
Only people who go through pain know how painful it is. And that has been my motivation. And I would only say that I just stepped out of college and I was good in maths by then. And of course, through Toastmasters, I was also good in speaking. And I saw a lot of people looking at mathematics as a pain in their life. Not just mathematics, I'll take one step higher. People were and are still looking at education as a pain. I don't see people smiling in classrooms. And when I say people, children don't smile in classrooms. Teachers don't smile in classrooms. And why is it that a typical college student likes to bunk a class today than get inside a classroom, though we are all aware that their futures are the places where it is made. So why avoid from making and building your own self? Then something is terribly wrong inside the system.
Fair enough. So Pavan, did this realization happen to you itself? Did you feel that you did not like class, you did not like attending? Did that inspiration come from there, or did you observe it from outside?
I would put it like this. Whatever I experienced in my school was the best that my teachers and my principal gave. So no, qualms on that. And I would want to say, and I would want to go one step higher here. I didn't get what I really wanted for my life in my school. And I'm very sure that most of them who are listening to this will agree to a certain percentage for sure that they haven't got something that they need for life from their school.
True.
And that's when I realized that, okay, we got to make a difference in the education system because this is not happening and this is not going anywhere. And then, okay, let me do what I have to do. That's where everything started, Lalith. Simple as that.
Just a small little recap, Pavan. 10 years ago, I was your student. I was in my 10th standard. And I remember the day I walked into Achieve Academy. I was floored. Like, I was like, man, this is the tuition place that I want to be in. You immediately grabbed my attention. You were a fantastic speaker, and I still think you're way better now as you've
Hopefully.
you've developed so well. So, Pavan, tell me, was teaching something that came to you naturally, or was it something that was acquired?
Before I answer that question, I want to ask you a question, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
What made you feel that that was the place that you want to be at? The tuitions that you came in 10 years ago. In fact, it's a coincidence that the Achieve School of Education, the school that we run now, is just completed the 10th year this year. So back then, 17 years ago, it was only tuitions that was running. What made you feel that that was the place that you have to be in at?
To be very honest, I think I felt I belong here. And I think that came from you, that moment, because I remember these 3 words that you said. You said visual, audio, kinesthetic. Right? I cannot forget those 3 words.
Okay.
And I was sitting with my bunch of friends there, and you said, kids have a different way of learning.
Yes.
And what if we thought the education or the lessons we teach in our books in 3 different dimensions, and then we appeal to everybody? Because until then, I was only sided off by saying, Lalith is weak at math. Lalith is not good at this. He's not good at studies. That's the only problem that came up. But how to solve the problem never came up. And you were the first person who said that's not a problem. It's a different approach. And the moment you said different approach, I felt at home. Right? And I think this is something that I've always felt. A lot of mentors and teachers I look up to, spiritually anyway. But one thing is common. I always feel at home with their principles and teachings.
Amazing. I think that's massive transformation for you from there till here. Now look, whatever you said again is the answer for one step forward for the education system. Of course, that's for teachers, it's not for children. Lack of teacher training, that is a major drawback in all schools. Let me take this one step further, especially when you say visual, auditory and kinesthetic. A lot of teachers need structural training in how they can teach better in their classrooms. But even before we go there, Lalith, I want to ask you this question again. More than the teacher training and the structure, are the schools teaching what they are supposed to teach to face real life? Give me your perspective and then I'll give you mine, and then all our audience now who are listening to this can also answer this question for themselves in their mind. Because look at the newspapers. People out there, you can see the number of suicides on the day of results. And it's been made so serious that result is everything, in this world. Result is something. I'm not saying it's not important.
Correct.
I'm saying it is something that will take you to where you want to go.
Validation.
So you get a little less marks, you get a little more, is fine. The only thing that the education system that needs to really build is confidence in children.
Correct.
And once they are confident to a certain level, it needs to teach them how to face life. Unfortunately, including our school, we have challenges, we have the curriculum, we have the load. I'm going to put this on record. Even the new national education policy, I have my own doubts as to how 100% sure that we can really teach them the real stuff of life. Now, what do I mean by real stuff of life?
True. I think I'll answer that tiny bit of what we miss in the education system. I think my generation of people, the first thing that should be taught is mental health, Pavan.
Interesting.
Maybe not the mental health tagline, be it yoga, be it meditation. You start from our own roots. We have the juice right here. We're sitting on it. Steve Jobs left US and came to India.
Correct.
That means the real thing is here, right? That's the realization. Second, I feel finance. People cry that they can't make money, Pavan. Making money has been the easiest thing on planet Earth. It is very easy to make it. It is only hard to make if you don't know how.
Agreed.
And they don't teach you how. That's the second thing I feel, Pavan. And third is, I'll rob this point from you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's the ability to love failure and embrace it. I remember you speaking in our 10th standard graduation day. You said if somebody fails in business, there's an amount of sympathy. If a child fails, there's an amount of hardships thrown at him, saying your life is gone, your future is gone, everything's gone.
Yeah.
I really think that third part of literally embracing failure and saying that's where the real juice lies. That, I mean, people call it shit, but in all honesty, it is shit, right? It's manure. Like, that's where you grow from. So I think these three things, Pavan, for me, is everything.
Lovely. I mean, in one of my book that I've authored, I've written almost everything except for the mental, stability to learn. It's called 7 Things Schools Must Teach Children. And the first thing, according to me, when I think about that book, the first top point that I want to teach you is schools should teach children how to learn. So that a child can learn anything that they want to learn in their life. In my opinion, even I'm personally striving hard to do this inside our school. I'm not saying we've achieved it. It would be wrong if I said that. We're putting our level best. So all parents, all adults, especially influential people like you in the society, should start teaching people on how to learn. Because once they get out of the education institutions, look, you and I today know that we can get a degree even without attending for an hour inside these online classes or whatever happened in the COVID. So the point that I'm trying to make is, do you have those skills inside you to learn anything at any point of time? Majority of people whom I meet in their lives, they either tell me that their life is stuck, they don't know what to do, they have no idea on their decision making skills, and they feel that they are unlucky. I was born in a wrong place. This is one big thing that a lot of people think. I should have been born in a rich family. I should have had rich parents. I should have had a lot of assets. My circumstance was very bad. I come from a small town. Look, if you want to be a victim, you can continue to be a victim forever. Schools must teach children on how to go beyond these thoughts, how they can learn something more that can challenge their existing thoughts that will drain you. Come on, if I'm walking, the thought inside me very clearly makes me move the way the thought is behaving in my mind.
Correct.
So if I feel like a king, I walk like a king. If I feel like a pathetic person on this planet, then I walk like a pathetic person on the planet, and I'm attracting pathetic stuff anyway when I walk. So education system must consider these kind of stuff on how to go beyond what you're actually learning. I'm very sure you're not really using everything of what you learned in your schools.
In fact, most of it. I haven't been using it. Now, I mean, that brings me to the point of what you just said. Like what you think, your thought is who you are. The power of the subconscious mind, right? That's also a wonderful book which I've read. Now, Pavan, on the similar note, I feel for a child's subconscious mind to operate a certain way, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just opening up this discussion for a flow of thought.
Sure.
I feel at one point of time, it is the school that is very important. On the second hand, can I safely say it's the parent? Because if the parent pays more importance to the mark, is when the child is actually worried and is chasing the wrong thing. Right? But it's not the parents' blame around, because even the parents coming from a system lineage there.
Agreed.
How do you look at this? Is it just the school, the system, or is it even the parents, and even that should be evolving over time? How is this?
Sure. 2 things when it comes to parents. Number 1, there is nothing wrong in the parent expecting good grades in a child. Think of the parent's life for a minute. The whole day they struggle, they work, they do their business, or they get into a job, they take deadlines, they take goals, and they take efforts to get money. If you're in a corporate, you need to show them money or work. Or if you're in your own business, you need to work and move forward. So there's no harm, and it's not wrong for a parent to ask for more marks from children. It's excellent to ask for more marks. But at what cost is the question that I want to ask parents here. So if I would tell Lalith, get 100 on 100 in mathematics, I have no idea how you're getting it, but I want you to get it for sure. And if you don't get it, you're not a good child of mine. Your other sibling is a better child of mine. Now that's a wrong way of me asking Lalith to get 100 on 100. If you don't get 100, look at the servants' kids, they're better than you. Look at the neighbor's kids, they're better than you. Again, digression, and that's terribly wrong if you ask me. In fact, I have a daughter too. More than asking for marks, I would ask her for conceptual learning. What did you learn in school today? How are you going to apply that in your real life? What challenge of yours are you going to solve? Focus so much. I would appeal to all the parents and everyone, whoever is an adult, in your circles, in your social circles, instead of asking children, how much did your son get? How much did I get that? Look, chase the root of this problem. The root of this problem is the society, because a lot of people you go to a function, somebody is getting married, and you will see all the aunties, uncles asking, how did your child do in the exam? So why are you bothered about that grade? You want to judge the child by the grade? Then let me be very frank and very clear with you. Children are getting grades based on their memory power. Most of the times, nothing to do with what they understood in whatever they are learning inside the classroom. When is the society going to evolve to conceptual learning?
Correct.
Why can't adults in the society look at tiny little children in an event and say, what did you learn?
Yeah.
And from that, where are you going to apply that? And what part of your life are you going to solve?
Yeah.
How are you going to be a force for good with your friends?
Yeah.
How many children have you influenced around you? How many people look up to you?
Yeah.
So the question is really not about the marks. And let me tell you, marks always has to be a byproduct. You feed the cow with the good food, you take care of the cow with good medicines, health, you give the cow a good space, it will automatically give you great quantity and quality of milk. So when parents don't know how to milk the cow, just by forcing and hitting the cow, shouting at the cow, then telling, I won't give you food, it's not going to solve the problem. So I'm saying what is the input is going to be the output.
Very true.
So basically, instead of asking for, give me good quality of milk and talking to the cow, cow is not going to respond to that anyway. Change your quality of input for them.
Very true. I think that makes all the difference, Pavan, and especially when you talk about how today children are raised in a way where they're being compared based on marks, then you're basically essentially talking about people. Which brings me to another punchline that you always used, that third class people talk about people, second class people talk about events, and first class people talk about concepts.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll clarify that. That's not my statement. It must be Aristotle's or Socrates' statement.
But I got it from you. You're my Aristotle now.
I'm too a tiny small person for that. Okay, go ahead. Go
see,
ahead.
but do you see the difference? Now, I just said this as a point of evidence that none of the concepts you ever taught me in maths impacted me as much as this line you just said. I remember it 10 years down the lane, and you've not said it more than once or twice. I remember it. Because at the end of the day, you never compared me to my fellow peer as a teacher.
Absolutely.
So I absorbed everything that you had to say. So speaking of this, Pavan, I've observed that a lot of people in my generation want to impact people. That's they strongly feel it, right? Now I want to ask, if I'm somebody who's just graduating, I'm in my corporate job, I'm 24, how do I impact people either by teaching, by helping them learn? What are the steps that I should take?
More than many steps, the first step that I would like to recommend people is have an impact on yourself first.
Okay.
A lot of people try to change the whole world. They try to say, I want to impact so many lives, I want to change their lives. And they really come across hypocrites. They speak something and they do something else. Right? So first, can you impact yourself in such a massive way that people come and ask you for, how do you do that? How come you have a balance? See, I'll give you a very typical situation. Okay, tons and tons of people in this world have this challenge, and the challenge is external world and internal communication. These are two brilliant concepts. Something happens in the external world, their internal world of communication has to respond to that. A failure, a relationship breakup, a breakdown in business, or a loss, or something that you don't want. And when something in the external world happens, that needs to be responded with internal communication. So the question is, if everybody can understand this, then their lives will transform like this. Whatever happens around you, because stuff keeps happening around you, how do you speak for that stuff inside you creates life inside you. And when you start speaking to yourself in a way that can impact yourself first, that's why I'm using the word impact yourself first, and that will impact people around you anyway. When you set high standards for yourself, when you impact your own self, automatically it's going to set an impact for everybody around you. And if you show the whole world that you're extremely strong, and inside you have your own stories that are not strong or worthy enough, and then there is lack of alignment, this and this is not clear. And because that is not clear, the point of impacting others is really a high order question. I would put it to a grassroots and say, first take some time, as much time as you want to learn to impact your own self.
That's so profound, Pavan. I think that makes so much sense, because if your own tumbler is not full, how can you pour into another tumbler which is empty, right? You've got to have it full. And like you said, when there is no alignment, that's when doubt creeps in. Right? That's when you start doubting yourself, your actions, and that's when you start having dependency problems. You're looking for that alignment with an external substance which can produce the same happiness chemical inside you.
Yep.
And I think that's where everything goes out. And I think that inner moment before you talk, you actually listen to your inner voice first.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where it begins. I think that's a fantastic way. Now, as we begin to do this, I also feel giving is very important, right? Like at some point that cup will become full.
Okay.
How do you think that somebody who might not possess the greatest amount of wealth or knowledge, anything, can give back? Because again, coming back to that question, let's say I finished step one. I built myself to a certain level, to the ability to give. What do I do next, Pavan? How do I go on to actually help people or teach or do something in this field?
I really want to understand the logic behind this question, because generally when there is a clear-cut vision of what you want to do in this world, the cup can never be full.
Okay.
And if the cup is full, then probably a person is holding to a wrong cup for a long time.
Okay.
There is no need to give the stuff that is there in my cup to somebody. I strongly feel that if anybody feels that their cup is really full, then replace the cup with a new cup. Then replace new visions, replace new stuff. Dare to think big. There are enough books on these concepts, but simple. If you think something is full, stretch. Challenge yourself with something big. Think in all possible ways that can make that cup expand itself, that the water inside should be like, oh God, the radius just expanded. I'm a math teacher, so the volume of the water is now, or whatever is the content that you are metaphorically trying to link to, is very less. And then go ahead, fill more, and in the process of filling, automatically share more with others also, so that you can fill more.
Correct.
I think anybody in this world who thinks that their cup is full, then the very thought needs to be replaced.
Replaced, yeah.
I feel that this is
Makes sense.
This is what I have from the last 19 years I've been learning, and I feel I know very little, and I feel I'm very small, and I feel I really need to do so many things out there, right? So if there is somebody who has seen all of life, then ask them. They will very clearly tell you there's so much more for me to learn.
Yeah. Or you deserve to die. Like, what's the point? Like, you've done it all, isn't it? Like, you've done it all.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah. So I think that's a beautiful concept. In my mind, again, it's something that I've read, right? Like, if you push yourself beyond your comfort zone, your comfort zone expands. Now, when it expands, it leaves that vast space of comfort. So the moment you start recycling that, that space exists, right? What is inside the space is up to you to fill.
Agreed.
So I think that's a very well put answer, Pavan.
Thank you.
Now you have your own school. There are a lot of students. I'm me being one of the thousands that you've helped in various ways. I remember, Pavan, even the start of this journey, right? The coaching, the first person who called me up and said, do something was you. So first of all, I have to say thank you for that. I've said enough thank yous to you, but this is one that I really want to say in front of the world, because I want to highlight the importance of having the right people around you, Pavan.
Yes, there are 3-4 things that have just popped up in your mind from your statements. Look, whatever I tell you is the same thing that I tell a lot of children, a lot of people. And I tell, come on, do something meaningful with your life, add some purpose and meaning to it. Don't just go, see, this is like this. Even if you have the best smartphone on your hand, and if you have the best from 4G to 5G internet connection, but if you don't know where to go, and if you don't hit that in the destination of your GPS, you don't get a route, you don't get a navigation. Your start point, you know where it is. So Lalith, I must compliment you that I would love to keep speaking to you and keep adding more value to you and to anybody else who interacts with me, because you take it. What I want people to learn from you is the ability to take action when something meaningful is given to people. How many people take meaningful stuff and take action? They don't. They listen to a lot of meaningful stuff, but they don't take action. The only difference between successful people and non-successful people is successful people take action, and non-successful people, even though they have all the resources or they may not have the resources. See, look, not having resources is not a challenge. If you look around, you will get resources. And after having resources, you don't take action, it's your headache. The only thing that differentiates people from being what Lalith is, being successful and doing what you're doing, is you took action at all stages of your life. Any new thought comes in, you're like, I'll take action and I will do it. I'll try, you're ready to do. I want every teenager to take action. It's okay, miserably fail. I will tell you what I told you many, many years ago. Miserably fail. Fail in such a manner that, it's okay. Schools, friends, social circles should be labs. A school is a place where every child tries everything that they want to in their life, and they fail miserably. And the environment in the school should be so conducive that I'll try this, I'll try that, okay, I want to try this. And after trying that, if they fail, and if everybody is sitting and huddling up and saying, I failed, and then everybody, what did you learn from this? Okay, we'll try this again, once again. Then you're in an amazing space as a school. Correct. Just go look around, Today the social media, you have a careful look inside that. What are people showing? Not most of them. What are people showing? They're showing how cool they are, how good they are. They're trying to get all kinds of attention. In fact, in some of them, just for the sake of attention, on the opposite gender, the neckline is dropping down. Right? Now I'm being very frank enough to say this. If that's not one thing, every kind of nonsense is happening just to make sure that they get more likes, views and hearts. And they are creating a very fragile ecosystem for them, because if a post is posted and after every half an hour, if they're checking how many people have liked and who's not liked, why they've not liked, why this person liked, why that person didn't like, let me tell you, they're building a very fragile foundation for their life, because they are walking on thin ice and it can crack anytime. They must be ready to fail. If somebody is sharing a certificate or a medal on a social media, then they must also have equal amount of power of vulnerability to share their failures on social media and say that, you know what, I miserably failed today. Okay? And keep checking for every half an hour how people are, you know, liking that post, what kind of comments are they saying. If you don't have the power to do that, then you don't have, you don't deserve the power to simply keep posting the brighter side of your life. Because you will reach one point of time where you have built an image in the society that you're the most successful person in a very pseudo way. And then one day you see a failure, you're not ready to see a failure.
And I think everything that you said, Pavan, why people on social media are fancying this is because they don't understand that our brain operates the same way. If it's chocolate, sugar, food or social media, it's the same. It's the same dopamine release that you get in your head, and once you understand the science of it, you can see through that thin ice. You see what is operating beneath that thin ice. You can dig down deep and actually create impact. I want to know, how do you tackle failure? How do you approach failure? Because as you grow up, as your magnitude of success grows up, the magnitude of failure also escalates at the same level.
Yes.
Now, you running a school, you having a lot of people looking up to you in the society, your students looking up to you. People sometimes, I for one thought you were invincible, right? When back in when I was in 10th standard. But as you discussed real human life problems with me as we progressed in my career and your career, and we had so many meetings, I also realized that there's such a human part about you, right? Now, can you tell the world how do you approach a failure?
In us, there is great learning, and there is a concept called collaborative gaming. Okay? Let's say this word failure is coined from a very young age, childhood experience. Let's say I and you are playing snake and ladders. Let's assume, we haven't, but let's assume you're a tiny child and I'm a tiny child. We have a die on our hand, we keep rolling that. You have a pawn, I have a pawn, we keep moving. And in the very game itself, sometimes you get ladders and sometimes you get a snake. And sometimes you don't know what your next number is. And such is life. And the target is to reach 100. Okay, you reach faster than me or I reach faster than you. Everything depends on what I roll there. And everything depends on where I stand and how many steps that I move forward. In that case, I will ask you, both of us are playing. One of us has to, you can complete the word.
One of us has to win.
And the other has to?
Come second.
Come second. I like the word that you're saying, come second. Someone from your technical team used the word lose. I even heard that. Okay. You're different, Lalith, because you're a constant learner. Most of them who do not learn at your pace or who do not have the levels of awareness start speaking to that little child saying that I won and you lost. Concepts of losing and failure are put inside the games. There is enough research in the world called collaborative games. You know how I play games. You know, I tried this with my school children. I got a bunch of 4 people, and in these we didn't play snake and ladders. We played Ludo. So I was one of them, and the other 3 are the other team members. The minute we start playing me versus you 3, it was very different. I said, if one of you push all your 4 pawns inside, it's of no use. All 3 of you have to push your pawns before I push my 4 pawns inside. Now play the game. The very thought of me making sure that they are not taking competitions against them, but all 3 of them has a common enemy, that is me, and that's not their friend, the game changes. They are no more competing with them. There's no word of failure. Those 3 are constantly discussing to ensure that I am defeated in the whole path. And this is called collaborative gaming. So if 2 people are playing, 2 players, they're not playing versus anymore. The next set of game theory of games that come on the phones will be 2 people play together against a computer. And that's when more bonding will come in, that's when more friendship will come in. The idea is, do not infuse the thoughts of failure. Replace that with learning. Let's say you're playing Ludo, I win, you three learn.
Then.
And the minute I say I win and you learn, then there is no word failure at all. So how you grow up as a child is a reflection of what you are now as an adult. And if you were exposed to concepts of failure in a very early way, then the word failure can trigger different emotions which are not healthy for us. Treat it like a game. Treat it like snake and ladders. Treat it like a game where I come down to the tail of the snake, and just because, see, it's hard, getting bit by that snake is painful. The process of going down on the steps is like guilty, and staying at the tail of that snake,
True.
Is like, oh, why me? Why me?
Yeah.
Correct? But look around. You have the die in your hand, no? That's in your hand.
It's in
Roll.
your hand, yeah.
You will get a ladder again, no?
And you might possibly get the biggest ladder. They say the biggest ladders are often at the bottom.
You're speaking like me.
Yata guru tata shishya. I mean, it does make
This
sense.
is an easy way to look at failure. It's a game, okay. People who are successful also have to die.
Yeah, true.
People who are not successful also have to die. So I can appeal to those people who are not successful. Can you try becoming successful? It's okay. Even successful people have been bit.
True.
So that's fine.
Absolutely. Man, Pavan, I must say thank you so much for sharing such wonderful knowledge, your learnings and your journey on this podcast. I, for one, just like how the 15-year-old entered Achieve Academy, I still feel so good talking to you. I'm so glad I met you. I'm so glad I'm still in touch with you. And I think I will still bother you for a long time to come.
You're never a botheration. People like you and students like you who grow leaps and bounces, I feel that pride on my chest. It's a great feeling that probably cannot be expressed to words but only felt. I always cherish all children who put efforts and take up opportunities, and you lead in that particular set of children. More energy and more power to you to make sure you fuel all your dreams and come out in a very big way, so that one day I can tell, you know what, he is my student. Simple as that.
Thank you, Pavan, and I'm
Thank you,
glad
Lalith. Thank
with
you
an
so much.
ecosystem with you, it will happen. Thank you so much.
Sure.